go over what dilators are. If you're experiencing vaginismus or painful sex, you've probably seen these things. They're tube-like shapes that kind of increase in size, and you might be wondering, like, what are those? Or maybe you've even been using them for a while and you're like, I don't know if I'm using these right. So I want to kind of take a deep dive into how we use dilators, what they are, and what to expect with a recovery with them. But first, I'm Jess. I'm a trauma-informed pelvic floor occupational therapist and a vaginismus recovery coach. And I get to work with women around the world to be able to heal from painful and impossible sex to enjoy sex the way it's supposed to be. We want to have bodies that show up for us, that accept things in, whatever we choose, whether that's a tampon, the speculum at the gynecologist, or a penis. We want to have bodies that work with us and that we feel safe when we bring things in. So that's what I get to help clients work through. It's a joy for me, and it's part of my story and my healing because I struggled with vaginismus and painful and impossible sex for 8 long years. And I went through so many things. I did these dilators over and over again, got through the largest size, but it didn't really matter for me to get me to my goal, which was penetrative sex. I also saw counselors, did many pelvic floor therapy sessions, went and saw specialists, got a lot of really bad advice, things that were discouraging, but also just really not helpful. I finally was able to heal after I used my background in pain science to be able to adopt a mind body approach to heal. And now I love that I get to help women and couples all over be able to do this. That's my joy and that's my heart. But I want to talk more about specifically dilators today. Now, dilators are a tool that you can use in retraining your vaginal wall muscles, but for many of us, it's not just like a one-stop shop. There has to be more of a holistic, comprehensive approach that we use, and dilators are a piece of that puzzle. But I do think it's important for us to learn more about how we can use these things strategically for our overall healing and not just kind of like fumble with them. So what is a dilator? A dilator is a cylindrical tube-like shape. They're usually graded in size. So we start off with something small, maybe the size of a finger, like something like this. And then it goes all the way up to the average size of a male penis. There are larger ones if we need larger ones. And then they're kind of like all the sizes in between. Dilators typically come in a set of anywhere from 4 to 8, but you can buy them individually through various retailers. And there are 2 types of dilators usually. There are plastic ones and silicone ones. The plastic ones are just that. They're made of plastic. You want to make sure that you find dilators that are made of like a medical grade plastic. They tend to be a bit firmer and they apply a little bit more pressure on the vaginal wall muscles, which can give us more of that focal point kind of trigger point release that some of us really might benefit from. But I do find that the firmer texture of the dilator can sometimes be a little much for our pelvic floor muscles. Some women do prefer plastic dilators. I personally healed from my vaginismus journey on a plastic dilator, so they work. They're great. They do tend to be a bit more affordable, so the access point to them is a bit more reasonable. And they come in all kinds of different like sizes and varieties. And so the one I have here happens to stack in on itself with the various sizes. I've had many clients who use silicone dilators and then they switch to plastic dilators and they see that it makes a difference for their journey, and then vice versa. It's up to you what you want to start with. But silicone dilators are made of silicone. They tend to be a bit more pliable. They have some give to them, so they kind of form a little bit better to the vaginal canal as you insert. They also feel a little bit more natural in texture. They kind of mimic skin in a sense. Because they're silicone, you need to make sure that you use a water-based lube with them. If you use an oil-based lube over time, that could degrade the material and kind of ruin the silicone. So make sure you do use water-based lube with silicone dilators. Plastic dilators, you can use either, whatever works for you. And another great thing with silicone dilators is they tend to kind of adapt to temperature a little bit better. So they warm up with your body a little bit faster than plastic dilators would. So that can give a more natural feel as well. But the best dilator is whichever dilator works for you. So you can try them both if you'd like, but if you want to start with a plastic dilator, that's great. Go for that. If you want to try silicone, it's up to you. Both work well, and I have clients who have found success with both, and sometimes they switch and then they go back, and they're just tools and resources for you. So not one is necessarily better than the other. So caring for your dilators is really important. We want to do this well because we want these to be safe, but also kind of last throughout our journey. You want to make sure that you're using medical grade materials, so medical grade silicone or plastic. And so most dilators will probably come with the how to care for me advice. Always defer to what your dilator brand recommends. But generally, you're going to want to wash your dilators with warm, soapy water, and then you're going to want to make sure that they fully dry. I recommend washing your dilators before use, drying them all the way, and then using them, and then afterwards making sure you wash them, dry them, and I recommend setting them out on your nightstand so that one, they can fully dry, but two, you can see them and be desensitized to them. When they're out on your nightstand, it's a good reminder to do your dilator work, but it's also a great place to try and get familiar with seeing these, because oftentimes when you keep them hidden away and then you pull them out, if you pull this sucker out, that's really intimidating. But if it's just sitting out like this, over time, you're like, it's just there. It's not a big deal. So I do encourage my clients to keep their dilators out, at least the ones they're working on, where they can see them regularly so we can desensitize to them and just have that visual reminder to do our vaginismus work. It is important to make sure that these do stay clean and dry, that you do wash them. Our vaginal canals are pretty absorbent, so any kind of bacteria that might be on this, you could introduce it to your vaginal canal. Now, we do have some resiliency there, so we don't need these to be sterile. We just want to make sure that they generally are clean. So don't stash them in a drawer that has like old pieces of gum and pens and stuff in there. Keep them clean and in sight, but they don't need to be super critically like sterilized after every time you use them. Now, if you're someone who struggles with maybe bacterial vaginosis or yeast infections, like maybe that's something that you would want to try and be a bit more careful about. But for the general woman, just soap and water is a great way to care for these. Okay, so we've learned about dilators, the different types and how to care for them. Now, what do we do with them? So before we do any kind of dilator insertion, I strongly recommend doing what I like to call a preheat exercise. Preheating looks like just what you would do if you're going to put cookies in the oven. You preheat the oven, and that just gets the oven ready and prepares for the delicious baking of cookies to happen. So we want to preheat our body and our mind before we do any kind of dilator insertion. So what this looks like is really spending time getting your body to a place of presence and connection within itself, where you have supported the cognitive frameworks and the nervous system in a way that you enter into dilator time and you're just ready for it. You're in a place of safety, you're in a place of peace, you're ready, you're calm, and you're accepting of what's about to happen. I go deep with my clients in what this looks like, and we have a whole preheating routine that we do. But in general, learn what works best for you to get your body to that place of safety and connection. So this looks like getting yourself in the right mindset. It looks like getting your nervous system ready and primed. It looks like getting your pelvic floor connected and ready with good range of motion. It's an important step to do, and I would really encourage you not to skip it, because this is going to really maximize your dilator time and help your body to do the reframing and the retraining that's necessary so that we can spend as little time with these and the most time with the body that works with us as possible. So really nourish and nurture this time, show up for yourself, and get your body ready and primed so that this can be a really positive experience for you. I also really encourage my clients to develop what I call a sensual safe space. This is your dilator environment, where you're going to dilate. You don't want to dilate in the middle of a pile of laundry on your bed, because that's going to just be a reminder of your to-do list and how you've got laundry piling up, lifestyle that needs work, and everything around you reminds you of that. You want your dilator time to be a very calm, relaxing, and connecting space. I encourage my clients to go all out with this, to have fun and to make it something so connecting for them. Whether that's getting a diffuser and a nice essential oil scent that you really connect and feel calming with, or a really good playlist going. I encourage having mints that you can suck on to kind of feel some peace even with your taste buds. Try and engage the senses in different ways. I also do encourage getting specific towels and maybe pillowcases that you use for your dilator time. You don't want to be stressed about, did you spill lube on your bedspread and now you got to wash that too, and you're trying to be careful with how you use this. Let the lube go, because you've got good towels and good pillowcases that you've designated for this. And while you're at it, make them fun and playful. You don't need to have like brown, boring towels. Like, get some fun beach towels and make this really special and unique for you. So really make your sensual safe space a beautiful space for you to connect with your body, to bring peace within so that you can stay connected and stay grounded without getting so distracted and overwhelmed while you're doing your dilating. All right, what position should you dilate in? I recommend dilating in positions that mimic what your goal is. I'm an occupational therapist. Occupational therapists are pretty good at being occupation-centered. That means we're going to try and practice and do whatever is going to result in our goal function. For most of us, our goal function is penetrative sex. So let's dilate in positions that we're going to do penetrative sex in. For many of us, that safe position is going to be on our backs. So on our backs with our upper body kind of relaxed back on a pillow or on the headboard. I recommend a pillow behind you for maximal comfort. With your legs kind of open and splayed a little bit. That way your pelvic floor is supported with the bed underneath of you, your back and your neck are supported and you're not straining to hold yourself up. And then adjusting how much you need to sit forward based on what's comfortable for you for getting your hand down there for insertion. That's the most common position I recommend for my clients, but I also do work with them to find positions that work better for them. A lot of times I hear that women like to dilate in the bathtub. That's great. The bathtub is nice and connecting and it's warm and it's a really peaceful place, but that's a hard place to try and introduce penetrative sex in. And so, yes, we can use that maybe to supplement our dilator routine, but I wouldn't recommend that being our primary spot because it's not going to make that transition easier for us. The same with standing in the shower. Could make for some fun sex in the future, but that transition sex, let's make it a super easy, familiar, and practical position that's going to aid in our transition to penetrative sex. You can switch it around, have fun, try different positions, definitely recommend it, but you want to work with your pelvic floor professional to see what works best for you so that you can come up with the best position that supports your pelvic floor, your mind, your body, and ultimately that transition. All right, let's talk about dilator insertion now. We've done all the prep work, we've done the preheating, we got the right position, our dilators are nice and clean. Let's get going on this. So how do you insert this thing? To start, you need to select the dilator that's right for you. I recommend, again, working with your pelvic floor professional to know where you're at in your dilator routine and which dilator would be the best fit for you. If you have no idea, then I would just start with the smallest dilator that you have in your set and see how it goes. And if that feels super easy, just work up until you get a little bit more resistance or a pain that's about a 2 to 4 on the pain scale out of 10. I recommend that you never go above a 4 out of 10 for pain. Everyone likes to ask me, but Jess, what is a 4 out of 10? That's for you to decide. I would say try to keep your pain or your discomfort in that minimal category. We don't really want to jump into moderate. Definitely don't want to be in severe. So find the right dilator that kind of fits in that 2 to 4 category for pain. If you're not experiencing pain and you just have the wall, then find a 2 to 4 in like tension that you're needing. And that's the dilator we actually want to work on. I encourage actually going down a dilator size from that one that's a 2 to 4 and that being your warm-up introduction dilator so that we can start on a good note. Okay, so you have your dilator. The next step you're going to do is you're going to get into position. Make sure all of the things that you need are within reach. So you have the lube within reach, you have your dilators within reach, you have any of your mints or central safe space stuff, it's all there. So you're not trying to like set things down and make a mess as you get up to grab things. So grab your dilator, get some lube on it, get it nice and slippery. And then what you're going to do is you're actually going to put some lube on the vaginal opening, okay? So you'll spread your inner labia out and you're going to put some lube right there too. So you have lube on the dilator and lube right there. And then I want you to just put the dilator on your vaginal opening there, okay? You're going to spread those labia out with one hand and just set it here, okay? And then we're going to breathe. Don't skip this. Breathing is really important. We're going to sit here with the dilator there and we're just going to connect with it. And that's going to connect with our breath. So how do we breathe? A lot of women do really great chest breaths. But what we really want to do is we want to take a nice 360 breath where we're going to breathe and we're going to fill our rib cage, our stomach, our back, everything in our lower core is going to expand out as we do that inhale. And then the exhale, nice and slowly, we're going to kind of bring it all back in. So you're going to do 5 of those 360 breaths with that dilator sitting at the entrance there, okay? So nice, good breath in. And a nice exhale out, expanding everything. You may even feel the dilator kind of move with that inhale and that exhale. The reason why is because your breath is really connected to your pelvic floor. When your diaphragm, the base of your lungs, drops down with that 360 breath to make room for the lungs to expand, your pelvic floor drops down with it and relaxes. It's as if that pelvic floor is kind of coming down and would almost grab that dilator as it comes down. And so that's the breath we want to try and get, our pelvic floor to relax with that breath down. And then on the exhale, it kind of just comes back to a neutral position. So that's why we're practicing those breaths. So you've done those 5 deep, good connecting breaths. Now we're going to insert. So take another good inhale in with that 360 breath, and that's when you're slowly going to insert the dilator in. Now, a lot of times we think the dilator goes in straight, but really you actually want to kind of angle the dilator down towards your anus, towards your bottom as you insert, because that's going to follow your vaginal canal a little bit more organically. And you're just going to slowly insert that in on the inhale, just like that. Now, maybe the tip only goes in. That's awesome. Maybe the whole dilator goes in. That's also awesome. Do what your body shows up for you to do and celebrate that. You can take your time doing this, really connect with your body, and then on another inhale, you can push it in even farther. And then just sit here for a little bit and just notice what sensations you're encountering. Try not to let panic come in. Try not to let that shutdown happen. Just sit and observe. What's happening? What do you feel? Maybe you sit here for a minute and you feel, okay, great. Maybe you sit here for 15 minutes and you try and connect. Great. Do what feels good for your body in that moment. Once you have the dilator inserted, we can start doing some movements. So I like to encourage starting with circles, or we call these swirly-roos in our program. Swirly-roos are where you're essentially just going to take the dilator and you're going to do a swirl around, like clocks, like a clockwork activity. I do encourage you to skip over 12 o'clock though. 12 o'clock is right under your pubic bone or where the hair might be on your vulva. You want to just kind of go from 11 o'clock over to 1 o'clock and just skip that area. The reason for that, you got important plumbing up there. We don't want to mess with it. So just in your circle, go from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock and then go all the way around while you're inserted. Do that a couple times, see how it feels. You can choose from there, do I want to keep doing this or do I want to switch it up? Go the other direction if you'd like. And then we want to practice some in and outs. In and outs are great because they mimic the act of penetrative sex, which is what our goal is. So with in and outs, you can coordinate this with your breath. Don't overthink it though, but you're just going to bring the dilator in and out and in and out. You don't have to exit all the way unless you want to. You can just kind of bring it out mostly and then insert it again with that breath, nice and in sync. Okay, and if you notice any pain or anything, just observe it. Don't criticize yourself. Don't worry about it. It's natural. This is what your body's doing to heal. And then after you do some movement in there, you're going to remove the dilator. A lot of times I find clients are like, good, it's all over. Let me pull it out. And then we get a burning sensation. Remove the dilator just like you would for insertion. Just be very in tune, very aware. You're not going to damage anything, but let's just stay connected with our body as we do the dilator removal. And then that's it. You've done it. You inserted the dilator. Keep doing that as often as your pelvic floor therapist recommends. I have a unique protocol that we go over with my clients that meets their body's needs, and they're trained on how to do that with what works for them. They also are trained on when to know how to size up to the next dilator. That could be a nuanced thing. We don't want to re-traumatize our body and move up too fast. We also don't want to avoid progression and kind of sit on the same dilator too long. Again, defer to your pelvic floor professional on how to do that. I teach my clients how to be their own experts on how to learn how to do that. And it's a really important skill to be able to read your body and know your body well enough for that. Okay, you've done your dilator routine. Don't stop the video yet. This next part is super important as well. The first thing I want you to do is celebrate. You showed up for yourself. You did something super awkward and really hard that most women don't have to do. You are awesome. So celebrate that. Even if it didn't go as you expected, celebrate. I am so proud of you for just showing up and doing it. Your body will give you what it needs. Celebrating is a huge way to use really great brain strategies for connecting with a body that needs some support. So celebration is huge. Keep celebrating. Go on a date to celebrate. Whatever you want to do. This is awesome, and you should be really encouraged and proud of how you just showed up for yourself. The next thing I want you to do is to spend some time really processing this. How did you feel in that session? How did it feel emotionally? How did it feel psychologically? How did it feel physically? Kind of connect back. Please don't invite criticism, shame, or judgment in this. It's just an observation. What is something you could do to support your body better next time? Is there a way you could invite more curiosity into this? Really come and just support your body through this. My clients get a whole processing chart kind of thing that they work through after their dilator sessions that helps them to know what they can do to support their body better. It's a really important skill that I encourage you to figure out what works for you with. If you encountered any burning, stinging, or even maybe some bleeding, that's common when you're doing dilator work and healing from vaginismus. You can always defer to your healthcare professional if you have questions or if you think this is something of concern, and I recommend you do. But it is something a lot of women encounter as they heal from this. Burning and stinging typically happens during vaginal insertion, but it can also linger for hours and sometimes days afterwards. The important thing is to support your body and to not fear this response, but to accept it and to know that you're in the healing process. And then a really important last piece is make sure you pee. We don't want a UTI. So go to the bathroom even before you wash your dilators. Make sure you pee and get all of that lube and stuff cleared out of there so we can keep a healthy and infection-free urinary tract. And then wash up and clean up your dilators and set them right back out so you can be reminded to do this activity again. Typically, we do a little bit more with my clients on what their dilator routine looks like. Dilators are actually a small part of what we consider their vulvovaginal time because we do a lot of healing with our body and understanding how our body works. But dilators, like I said, are a part of this process. Now, healing from vaginismus and painful sex is quite a journey. It can be a very beautiful journey. And I hope that you would understand that this journey is worth pursuing, because having a body that works for you, that you understand, that you can trust, and you feel safe in is so beautiful. And being able to enjoy intimacy without the pain, the dread, the frustration, and the shutdown response is worth it. You are not broken and you are worth healing. And I would love to connect more and hear more about your story and your journey. Go ahead and schedule a free consultation where we can talk more and I can hear about your journey, what you've been through, and we can see if maybe even working together would be a good fit. But at the end of the day, I hope you just feel encouraged and that you know that your healing is worth it. You are not broken and you are worthy of healing from this.